excited to be here today for Online Marketing Rockstars. What an awesome show. Now, I am very much not a rock star. I do not play an instrument, and you absolutely positively do not want to ever hear me sing. However, I am the owner of the internet domain rockstars.ninja, and I think that's the real reason why I was invited here today. So, given the chance, I thought I would talk about the topic that I find most exciting today, which is reaching users on mobile. Now, wherever you are, if you're working campaigns, landing pages, you're in e-commerce, you're in branding, I think all of us are trying to connect with users on mobile. And in this quest, user experiences is more important than ever before. But it hasn't gotten easier. Being true multi-device and more users coming online every single day, things are not getting easier. And I also know that there probably have been quite a few talks today talking about mobile, probably literally all of them. And so I should get a little more specific. Where are our users? Where are the mobile users? Are they like in apps? Are they on the web? Are they in Snapchat and Facebook? We have some pretty good data about this, and it's quite interesting. So it turns out mobile users spend most of their time in apps, right? However, most of the growth is in mobile. In fact, since 2014, mobile web traffic has risen by 3x, which is twice as fast as native apps. So given this awesome opportunity, I want to talk about today how to create the right experience for these users on the mobile web. Now, things aren't all very awesome. There's a few challenges ahead and some stuff that really matters. The first one I want to talk about is speed. Speed matters. Now, why does it matter? One important data point. 53% of users abandon a session if the page does not load in under 3 seconds. I heard the statistic that apparently millennials check their phone 150 times a day, which I cannot. Let me check my Facebook. So that's apparently a thing. And so if you do something 150 times a day, it cannot take a long time. In fact, what users expect is instant. But that is not what they're getting. User expectations has evolved faster than technologies. In fact, what really happens is that most of our websites load in 19 seconds, which is very, very far away from instant, obviously. And given that, we actually know that for every 1 second of load time, conversions drop by 7%. So there's an amazing opportunity to get better here from 19 seconds. Speaking about speed, bandwidth is an important part of it. So in some less developed markets in this world, access to data can be very expensive and really difficult to come by. And even here in Germany, it's still pretty common that people have these capped data plans where you maybe have like 300 megabytes, and you have to deal with it for whole months. Not everyone is on unlimited LTE. In fact, in developing markets, a megabyte can cost up to 5% of a monthly wage. On the other hand, the average ad is almost a megabyte in size. And so if you do the math as an economic model, that's completely off. That just cannot work. Speaking of ads, ad experiences really matter. And let me be perfectly blunt here. The ad experience on the web can be awful. And our users are telling us front and center by installing ad blockers. I consider installing ad blocker to be an act of communication with me as a developer of a site or an ad tech company, the user telling me, what you do, I don't like that, do something better. So what do I mean when I say ad experiences? I absolutely do not mean that the creatives aren't good, that we're not doing good work. It's that the technology isn't there. The overall experience is bad. They jank the page and do stuff like that. So we have a technology and infrastructure problem where we do not meet user expectations. Average load time on 3G for an ad is 4 seconds. And again, users expect instant, and 4 seconds is absolutely positively not instant. So where does this leave us? Users want instant, but nothing is fast enough. Users want and need to access data, but our current infrastructure just consumes too much of it. And then on the other hand, companies and publishers need to advertise and grow to fund our businesses, but users do not like the ad experience. Not a good situation to be in. So we started thinking, what if we rethought how users engaged with the digital universe? What if we were able to create experiences that loaded both super fast and used minimal data? What if we made it easier for content producers to better control how and where users interact with our content? And what if we made it easier for advertisers to serve ads that load fast and respect the boundaries set by the users? To answer these questions, let's look at some fundamental differences in how users behave on the two major mobile platforms, the mobile web and native apps. So the web, originally and all this time, has been great at discovery and acquisition. I work for Google. We are in the business of getting users to a website, and it kind of works really well, right? On the other hand, the mobile web is not great at long-term engagement and retention. Native apps, on the other hand, have traditionally been great at engagement, great at conversions. But I think we've all found that it can be incredibly expensive to even get users to download our apps, to click on that icon on the home screen, right? So given these pretty stark differences, I think there's a pretty obvious conclusion to what to do, which is to create a platform that combines the best of both worlds. And so that is what we've been doing with AMP and PWA. Let's first take a look at PWA's progressive web apps. They are a way for companies and developers to build first-class web experiences that are fast, reliable, and engaging, that bring the engagement of apps to the discoverability of the mobile web. In fact, what really our goal is to make PWAs indistinguishable from native app in all kinds of ways of capabilities and how they're installed. There's some very exciting features available today. The most important one probably for most of us is notifications. Imagine you run an online store and that sweater is sold out. Today on the mobile web, you can just say, I'm sorry, maybe we can send you an email. With notifications on the web with PWAs, you can let that person know with a push notification when that piece of clothing is back in store. Similarly, offline and installation. So when you open a native app and you're offline, what happens? I mean, at least you get a nice message saying please get back online. We can't book your car if you're offline. On the mobile web, traditionally, you have that white page saying nothing, right? So again, with PWAs, you can fix that and behave well in the offline scenario. And finally, payments. Nothing is more frustrating than going to a web page and entering your credit card number in these tiny fields and hating yourself, right? So instead, probably the device already kind of knows your payment information. And so, maybe the browser can tell the website with the user's permission and making that process just incredibly more engaging. So I brought an example today, which I think is very interesting. That is Lyft, the ride-sharing app. Now, they're an interesting case because they used to be app-only, right? They probably had a mobile site saying, please download our app. On the other hand, they obviously care about discovery, right? So they thought, OK, maybe we'll do this experiment of building a mobile website. And off they went. And they found something that they were surprised about, which is that the new write rate was 5 times higher than what they had learned would happen from their native apps. So looking back at those charts, saying how much better the web is at discovery, maybe that isn't all that surprising, but they were really pleasantly surprised. And then they decided to go all in, building a progressive web app that matches their native app feature by feature. Let's take a quick look at how this works out. So again, this is a website. This is not a native app. And we sign up, and this is not even the easiest process, right? So they require you to kind of enter your phone number and say who you are. But once you're through it, there is the map, and you can get a car. Now, this obviously converts better than saying, well, please go to the App Store, download our app, remember to click on the icon, right? That whole process just takes so long that you lose a lot of users on the way. But it's not only that. One thing they found that's very interesting is that their native app, on the iOS App Store, comes in at 75 megabytes. Now imagine you want a Lyft, you're on vacation in the United States, and you're in roaming, and you're supposed to download 75 megabytes. You're probably going to think twice about it. Maybe hail a taxi anyway. So that's very relevant. Their Android app, slightly better, but 70 megabytes is still huge. Their progressive web app, on the other hand, comes in at under 1 megabyte. So I think if that's not reason enough, there's some very interesting stuff coming up on our 2017 roadmap. First of all, the most important one, I think, is web APKs. PWAs are going to become true native apps on Android, in no way distinguishable from a native app. We're going to further iterate on payment and identity, making it more seamless to convert on the mobile web. And finally, we always think about this as a cross-platform thing. So, I work for Google. I like Chrome very much. But having this work on Safari is an absolutely crucial part of the story. So that progressive web app, it's your chance to bring engagement of native apps to your easily discoverable mobile web experience. Again, just imagine your mobile web app was as engaging as your native app. I think that would be a good step forward. That was progressive web apps. Let's talk about my favorite topic, AMP. We launched this about a year ago, and it's an open source effort that brings together hundreds of publishers, ad tech players, platforms like WordPress and Twitter to work together around making the web better and faster for everyone. And this has kind of been working pretty well. So what we're seeing from the Google Search Index is 1.5 billion AMP pages in 1 year. And that is spread across 850,000 domains, which I just think is incredible. And even more important, across this humongous corpus, we're seeing a median load time of 1 second, which is, again, compared to the average previously of 19 seconds, it's just incredibly good. So I'm actually the creator and tech lead of the AMP project. And I want to tell you a little anecdote that I've never, ever talked about before in public, which is that AMP was actually created right here in Hamburg. Or at least that's how we like to call it. It was really in the little town of Elmshorn, 30 kilometers north of here. But we all agree that's basically Hamburg. So this is how it happened. My VP, Bess, called me up one day and said, hey, Malte, I have this plan. I want to save the mobile web. Do you want to help me? I was like, yes. That was what I always wanted to do, right? And then he said, cool, I want to launch this in 10 weeks. We haven't started yet. And I was like, OK. So just so you know, I'm flying to Germany on Friday, visiting my family with my kids, seeing grandparents. I'm just staying there for 4 weeks. And he was like, maybe I'm finding someone else. And it's like, no, I'll do it. Cool. We'll just have to deal with it. And so it came that AMP was basically created from my parents' backyard in Elmshorn in rainy summer of Germany, 2015, and kind of worked out. These are 12 of our favorite partners out of these 850,000 domains publishing AMP, and they've all been doing a really good job. There's some exciting data that we've been measuring at Google, which is once a user clicked on an AMP result, they in the future tend to click on more AMP results than we would expect if it was neutral. And what that tells us is that although we don't necessarily maybe know why, there must be something about it that they really love. And I think that's the best thing to, as a creator of a project, to get as feedback. So earlier today, I actually gave a masterclass here, kind of explaining the deeper magic of how AMP works. But today, I just want you to take a few things home. With AMP, it's super easy to create reliably fast web pages. You do not need an expert in your company to make great AMP pages. Second of all, AMP gives you the tools and the ability to customize and design pages the way you want to. You have all the freedom of the web. I know there's a few not very nice AMP pages out there, but it's basically part of the plan, because the ability to create something beautiful includes the ability to create something ugly. And finally, AMP is open for business. We've started as a publishing product, but starting this year, what you will see is that AMP comes into more places like lead acquisition and e-commerce. If you're interested in more details, just next week, we're having the first ever AmpConf in New York City, and you can still watch the live stream even if you won't make it there. I will have to fly there on Sunday. So in summary, users expect instant, and with AMP, they're getting instant, which means your content, your commerce, and your message is getting delivered. Now, I talked about two things, and I think there's a very legit question. AMP and PWA, what's the difference? Do you have to do both? And our message is they're actually best friends. PWA serves as your core web presence, your app. AMP makes sure that your distributed content is lightning fast. So it's for your product detail pages, your articles, right? And combine them, and you get the instant speed of AMP with the long-term engagement of PWAs. And my core message is really, if you invest in AMP today, you can use that investment for your PWA in the future. And I think there's another question we have to answer here. Do you still need a native app? And I'm actually pretty confident that the answer is today that unless you are in a very specific vertical, like gaming, you probably do not need a native app. So we've talked about how to build engaging apps with PWAs and how to get them to users super quickly. I think there is a topic we still need to talk about. What about the ads, the elephant in the room? You know, I mentioned earlier today how ads can negatively impact user experience. And again, we know that this is the case because users, including probably many of you, install app blockers, telling us they do not like the experience. But we must fix that experience because ads is what's paying for all that awesome content that users like. So what can we do? I'm super now excited to finally introduce AMP Ads, which is our effort to fix the ad experience on the mobile web. It's, again, an open source collaboration between publishers, technology platforms, and advertisers to make ads much faster and better for everyone. AMP Ads ensure that your awesome ad creatives get delivered in a way that users love. They will do a few things. They will reduce jank. They will reduce battery usage, which is super important. They will prevent malware infections with awesome security, and they will load much, much faster. How does this work? It's actually pretty easy. They're built in AMP, which already we know is fast. If you want to see the difference really quick, going here, AMP Ad is here, and see how, oh my God, 4 seconds. It's so bad. So there we have it. So why is this the case? Many ads on the internet ship hundreds of kilobytes of JavaScript for stuff like analytics. With AMP Ads, all ads on the entire internet share the same JavaScript. So you only have to download this once per week instead of once per ad. They have great analytics support, so all your favorite ad tech vendors can be supported. And lastly, and that's very important, while AMP Ads work great on AMP pages, they also work on all other web pages on the internet. So you have to build them once, and they run anywhere. One important part, it's super early days, and we invite all of you on this journey. So we are an open source project. Join us on our GitHub, on our mailing list, and give us input how you think AMP Ads should work. We need creation tools. We need converters. There's lots of stuff to do on both the business side and technology side. And it's early days, and we want to do this together with you. There's one company that already made the jump, which is TripleLift. And they had some interesting data. So they tried this with their native ads, which were 3 times lighter and 6 times faster. Meanwhile, trying this out on Time Inc. properties, they saw a 13% increase in viewability, CTR, and revenue. Now, that is our plan to bring ad experiences in line with user expectations. Let me just summarize. We started today asking ourselves, web or app, Facebook or Snapchat? We think that marketers should not have to trade off when it comes to a creative and media strategy. They should be able to come to one platform, the mobile web, and ensure their campaigns are seeing optimal performance. With PWA, AMP, and AMP ads, marketers have the tools to deliver fast, effective, and memorable user experiences on the mobile web. And together, we can finally ensure that for once, technology evolves faster than user expectations. Vielen lieben Dank.